Hello everyone, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you back to part 2 of this list of my top 25 most wanted newcomers for the Super Smash Bros. Series, whether in Ultimate, through the DLC that's left, or in future installments like Smash 6, 7, 8, 9, what the heck else are future games. I've already done part 1 on this. I made it through my 25 through 16, the first 10 on the list, and I'm going to hopefully now finish the rest of the 15, pretty much numbers 15 through 1 in the rest of this list in part 2. And if you guys haven't seen part 1, I would suggest you watch that. There's some good characters in there talked about, and you'll see why I now put these characters above those characters. And like I mentioned in that video, there's no visual aids, no nothing. I have my list here from Facebook because I did this list a few days ago. I've been working on it because I wanted to also do a video on it. I want to let you guys all know my list of what characters I personally want to see in Smash Brothers. Some of these characters are more attuned to now with Smash Ultimate. Some of them are kind of like the Smash series in general for future games. Some kind of are a mix between them depending on if the games the characters come from continue to get new games on Nintendo, continue to get support, and are still relevant enough to be in future games as well as now. But I've already done that, and as I left off with number 16, which was Akira Howard, and I'm going to quickly mention this here because because my battery was dying last time. That's the reason why I turned this to a two-parter. I love Astro Chain. I think it's a really fun game. There's cool moveset mechanics with the Legion you could do for Smash Brothers, and I would love to see that franchise, potentially, the sequel is possibly coming out. Platinum supports Nintendo quite well, and we already got Bayonetta. Just imagine a Legion-based moves that they can come up with in some cool Corrin, Robin, male, female type character, Akira Howard. That would be awesome. Now let's get on to 15. 15. Impa from the Legend of Zelda franchise. She's like I mentioned earlier in the list Majora Skull Kid, and I really love Majora Skull Kid because I think he definitely because he fits that time when I got into Zelda, which was the N64 games, but I also don't see him as likely. Impa, in my opinion, is the next logical choice for a Zelda newcomer if we are ever to get another one, which hasn't happened since Brawl. So I doubt it. But Impa's been in practically every game since the OG one. She is a series staple like Ganondorf, Link, and Zelda are. She just doesn't show up as much as them. But she's been relevant for a good chunk of the series. And I think some sort of Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, mixed hybrid, probably with Hyrule Warriors, or unless there's a new Zelda game coming out eventually and she's more relevant then with a new design and moveset potential, I think you can make an interesting moveset like Sheik with a giant sword type spear thing. I think it'd be really cool. I think she deserves it. She is one of the most important characters to the series that's still not in the Smash Bros. Series yet, outside the Triforce trio. I think she'd be a fun inclusion. A lot of people want her. I think she's the next logical choice for a Zelda newcomer if it ever indeed gets one, unless some new character pops up and people want that character more than Impa. But Impa's pretty much the choice I think most people want, and is a character I really would want to see too, and I think she does deserve it. Number 14, Dante from Devil May Cry. If there's a Capcom franchise that I feel deserves to get a character in Smash Brothers, Devil May Cry is not the most one that I feel deserves it, but it does feel like it's now getting to that level where it's in the same vein as something like a Monster Hunter, an Ace Attorney, or Resident Evil, especially now because not only is it iconic as a series like it was on PlayStation and Xbox, the Devil May Cry games are starting to be released on Nintendo. 1 and 2 are now on the Switch. 3 will be on its way eventually. I'm sure 4 is coming, and they probably will release 5 as well, which I'm sure will be on the Switch within 2 years probably. The series is getting released heavily on Nintendo now, and it's a popular mainstay, high-selling franchise from Capcom. A lot of fans are from that series like Dante's inclusion and Virgil's inclusion like Marvel vs. Capcom, and there's been a demand for characters from that series like Dante to be in Smash Brothers for the next Capcom character. And I may not be the biggest fan of the series. I have played multiple games in the series, but I'm not the biggest fan as probably some people who are diehards for the Devil May Cry series. But I do think he deserves it, and I think his gun sword moveset could be very unique. And you could have a mixed design of his Devil May Cry 5 design with his Devil May Cry 3 design, Devil May Cry 1 design, multiple different, either a hybrid or multiple different costumes. You can have a very unique moveset. A stage with him would be really cool, and the music. And I just think the whole package to get Devil May Cry and Smash Brothers and kind of coincide with Bayonetta, like the whole death battle years ago. It'd be cool to see him actually be able to play that now. And I do think he deserves it. He may not be, and it may not be the series that is the most likely for the next Capcom choice, but I think it's slowly rising up the ranks to be in that category, very close. And I think if more games from the series start getting released on the Switch and future Nintendo consoles, I think we got a good choice for Smash Bros. In our hands. Number 13 will go to the Doom Slayer, the Doom guy from Doom. Another series I'm only so familiar with, but I've played a decent enough amount of it to know why fans love it, and it is an iconic first-person shooter franchise. Pretty much was one of the OG first-person shooter franchises alongside Wolfenstein, and I think like that alone, building up that genre, which is probably one of the most popular genres in video games today, and as iconic as Doom is, I think it deserves it. I really do. And I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, the character's too mature, they're too dark, and Sakurai would never let that in there. Sakurai's let stuff like Bayonetta in there, and like Snake and Joker from M-rated franchises. I think Doom Slayer with guns and like a chainsaw is not going to be that bad, because you could tone it down a little bit. And it's like, he's iconic enough, I think, to deserve it. And it's not a character I truly want the most for myself. I just think he'd be a cool inclusion, and I do like the series. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I just truly believe he deserves it for as iconic of his character as he is. The series dates back to like the early 90s. This series is older than most of you out there probably playing Smash Brothers are. It's about almost the same age as me. And I would love to see Doom Slayer in there, especially because of the music and the stage and just how interesting of a moveset they can make him. Like, not being too gruesome, but being very brutal with weapons and guns and stuff like that. And it representing a genre that's gotten big in gaming. It pretty much was one of the games to define and create that genre, the first-person shooter. And it's getting new games, and the games are all on Nintendo. They have Doom 2016 came out on the Switch. They brought back Doom 64, and Doom Eternal next year is coming to the Switch. The company that makes them loves Nintendo and supports them with Wolfenstein and whatnot. I think it deserves something for that, having that big of a good relationship. Sorry. Number 12, SubZero from Mortal Kombat. If there's one Mortal Kombat character I would want above anyone else in Smash Brothers, it's SubZero. Is it more than likely going to be someone like maybe Scorpion over SubZero? Yeah, more than likely. If we ever get a Mortal Kombat character in Smash Brothers, it's likely going to be Scorpion. SubZero has a chance, but it's more likely going to be Scorpion. But SubZero has always been my guy. I've always heavily played as SubZero. He's always been like my main characters in Mortal Kombat. And I think Mortal Kombat's history in gaming and on Nintendo, I think it deserves a character. There's demand for it. There's a lot of characters to pick from. And we've already got fighting game characters like Terry Bogard, Ken, and Ryu. So I think Mortal Kombat, even though it's an American fighting game franchise, Sakurai has never been against bringing in American-based characters. We got freaking Diddy Kong, who was made by Rare. We got Banjo-Kazooie, made by Rare. So American companies, American-based created characters, and so on and so forth, I don't think there's anything against those. And quite frankly, crap, this is way too bright. Okay, but yeah, basically, it's always like it feels like a franchise that deserves it. And there's a lot of characters you can go with. In my opinion, would be SubZero, because you can make a very cool ice-based moveset, which we don't really have too many characters in Smash Bros. That have ice-based moveset. You can make a very interesting moveset. And even though technically Scorpion is like the main ninja of the series, SubZero's right there with them. Their rivalry, they on and off and whatnot. I think it'd be cool. He's more of a personal one for Mortal Kombat, even though I don't think he's the most likely Mortal Kombat character. I think the series deserves it. I think he'd be a cool character. I would love to see him in Smash. Number 11 is Crash Bandicoot. The rivalry between PlayStation and Nintendo back in the day was glorious. And Crash has always kind of been that rival, not almost on the level of Sonic. Like when the PlayStation was first being made, yeah, he was heavily there. They did the commercials for him. I grew up on Crash Bandicoot also on the PlayStation 1. I played some of the games on the PS2 GameCube era. And then the series kind of died. And then they revived it with the Insane Trilogy, which is also on Switch. And there's talks about future Crash Bandicoot games. And he was a gaming icon in the 90s. And he's going to probably be revived. And he has he had a rivalry with not only Mario, but with Sonic, both of which are in Smash Brothers. And you can make a really cool moveset with them. Can we please get, Crash Bandicoot in Smash Brothers? I would totally want to see Crash Bandicoot in Smash Brothers. Number 10, we're finally in the top 10. Phoenix Wright from the Ace Attorney franchise. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see him, don't consider him, hate him being even remotely mentioned for a conclusion in Smash Brothers. I don't see that. I see a cool Capcom character that can have very unique, interesting moveset. He was already playable in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which shows him he can work as a fighter. People say, oh, he has no fighting stuff. Well, there's characters that have been included in Smash Bros. Like the Wii Fit Trainer and Captain Falcon, which is a bounty hunter, yes, but we've never seen him fight outside his franchise, that were given fighting game moves in Smash Bros. They could do that same thing with Phoenix Wright like they did in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Really cool moveset. I did one for my own series. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend you please watch that. And I think the series has been on Nintendo since its inception. I mean, it's showed up on PlayStation and mobile phones and whatnot, but every game since its inception has been on Nintendo. The Game Boy Advance, the DS, the 3DS, the Switch, the Wii U. Every game is on it, and it's still going on strong, and it's still super popular. It's one of Capcom's most popular franchises. And he would have a wacky moveset. I would like to see something as unique and different as an attorney throwing pens and papers and evidence and hold it and objection and, blah, blah, blah. I think it'd be cool. And I know you guys probably wouldn't like it. There's a lot of people out there that wouldn't like it. But you know what? Up yours, I do want to see it. I would love to see him in Smash Brothers. He's not my most wanted Capcom character. I do have one more on my list. But he is a high up choice and made it in my top 10, so... Number 9, a character I think also deserves it, and I mentioned in part 1 about Billy and Jimmy Lee from Double Dragon, 80s characters classics like Simon Richter Belmont and Mario and Link and Rob and all these characters, these retro Nintendo characters like Ice Climbers and whatnot, third-party characters being brought in like Pac-Man and whatnot are being in Smash Brothers. 80s icons, big 80s icons. And this franchise started in the 80s and is still going strong-ish today. And that's Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. How can you not? You have like Mario and Sonic and Pac-Man and freaking Ice Climbers and Rob and Mr. Game & Watch and all these characters that were created in the 80s, Nintendo or third party otherwise, whatnot. But how can you not have freaking Solid Snake and whatnot? How can you not have Ryu Hayabusa? Ninja Gaiden was one of the most popular franchises on the original Nintendo. Big on Super Nintendo. It came back on Nintendo around the time of the Wii U. And I think I had a handheld one on Game Boy Advance or DS or something at some point too. The Wii U, the Switch I think has something. 3DS has something. There's they port the arcade games or put them on the collections and stuff like that. And it's been on Nintendo on and off throughout the years. And Ninja Gaiden, despite being on Xbox and PlayStation, is a Nintendo staple. And Ryu Hayabusa is a gaming icon. He should be in Smash Brothers. Number 8, and a character that was higher up on my list if I did this way back when, but has completely diminished given pretty much the Mii costume completely kind of screwed him over a bit, and the fact that we might not see the game get utilized again of the characters, but I'd like to see him in anyways, because like I said, Xenoblade Chronicles, I'd like to see more Xenoblade characters. Rex with Pyra. I think they got screwed hard when it was too new, because he could have just been a DLC character. And I would love to see someone join Shulk. And I mentioned Elma on my part 1. She was number freaking 17, but I want Rex and Pyra, the Blades, Rex, Pyra, Mithra, really cool characters, good moveset. Can we please get them in Smash Brothers? I would love to see them now, or if the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 ever gets utilized again, or a sequel or something that specifically uses that universe. I would love to see Rex and Pyra. It's kind of asking for too much now, because by that point it'll be Xenoblade Chronicles X2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and whatnot, new characters for Smash 6, 7 onwards. So I would love to see him just thrown in now because it's just a late request after the Mii costume kind of stuff. Number 7, a character who is currently an assist trophy in Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I truly believe deserves to be a playable character, owned by Konami now, and that's Bomberman. Bomberman is a gaming icon, started in the 80s, just like I mentioned with Ryu Hayabusa and Billy Jimmy Lee. There's a lot of 80s game icons we still don't have in Smash Brothers, and I think Bomberman needs to be in the next Smash Brothers, upgrade from assist trophy to playable character. He should be the next Konami character now that Hudson Soft's bought out. But he's such a good character. I grew up on him. That's a partial reason why I'm kind of pandering and like playing favorites here. But I always thought Bomberman would have made perfect sense for Smash Brothers, and he really deserves to get in. Number 6, Lloyd Irving from the Tails franchise. Tails, in my opinion, is the definitive next choice for a Namco rep in Smash. A lot of people will say Tekken and Soul Calibur because, like, Capcom has Street Fighter and SNK has King of Fighters / Fatal Fury, and it's going to be like a fighting game franchise. They're going to throw in a fighting game series, but I feel it'd be a bit redundant to get like Jin or Heihachi or Kazuya or Nightmare or Mitsurugi, really. I think Tails has been on Nintendo long enough since the Super Famicom, on the GameCube, the DS, the Game Boy Advance, the Wii, the Switch, the Wii U, the 3DS. I think it's a long-running series. Namco has a good relationship with Nintendo, and there's a lot of good characters to add. I mentioned Lloyd because he's the one I personally want to see the most, and he's also the one I think is the most likely because it's the most Nintendo-oriented. But the likes of Yuri Lowell, one of the characters from Arise for advertising reasons, Crest Elbane for iconic original character. A Tails character in general deserves to be in Smash Bros. I just personally want to see Lloyd because he's the one I have the most affiliation with, and the one I think that has the most Nintendo affiliation in general anyways. So, yes, can we please have him in Smash Bros. With his dual swords? Sword haters can suck it. And, like, his cool movesets with arts and various special magical abilities. I feel Tails deserves it, and I feel Tails deserves to be the next Namco rep alongside Pac-Man. Not Tekken, not Soul Calibur after the fact. Really, give him us after the fact. Tails, please. We are finally in the top 5. Number 5 is going to go to either Leon Kennedy or Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. Resident Evil is the franchise I want the most to have the next Capcom rep. I don't think it's the most likely one, though, because I do think Ace Attorney has a little bit over it, and I think the number one choice still, since Rathalos is a boss battle, is Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter is a super iconic, popular selling franchise from Capcom. But Resident Evil is big on Nintendo too, and Resident Evil has its own gaming status since the late 90s on Nintendo and off of Nintendo. A lot of cool characters to add, good movesets, stages, music. I really want to see it, and Leon and Jill they're not only the ones that I think are the most likely because of their iconic games like the original and 3, 2, and 4, but also I have the most affiliation with them too, and I think you can do the most with them moveset wise. And I would love to see Resident Evil get in. I love the Resident Evil series. I would love to see it represented in Smash Brothers. Number 4 will go to Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, that's a Disney character, and they won't allow it. You can't have Disney representation. It does summons and stuff. First of all, you can modify the moveset so you could summon like freaking like Sion from the Bouncer, or a Chocobo, or some more Square Enix stuff from like The World Ends With You, or Dragon Quest, or like I said, the Bouncer, Final Fantasy, other stuff from them. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. Like, he doesn't have to summon Mushu and Simba. Sorry, my sinuses are acting up. He can do fire, all the fire spells, the Keyblade. I think it works really well. And I think Square, that is the next obvious Square rep after Hero and Cloud. I really do. People would jump on like Chrono or Neku and all that, but I personally think it's going to be Sora. And I think like even Disney would allow that. It wouldn't be Disney holding them back or anything. And he's the one I want the most. I love the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I grew up on the Kingdom Hearts franchise. The series started when I was like 12 years old. I would love to see him in Smash Bros. He's the most wanted Square character for me. We are finally in the top 3. Number 3 is going to go to a Fire Emblem 3 Houses rep. I love the game. It's selling really well. It's super well received. Can we please get a rep from it? It could be Edelgard, it could be Dimitri, it could be Claude, it could be Byleth, it could be all four of them, it could be two of them, it could be three of them, all four, one, I don't care. Can we please get a rep from it? The game deserves it, and I know Fire Emblem haters are going to want to lynch me and tear me apart, set me on fire, and beat me up. I don't care. Fire Emblem deserves more representation, and Three Houses is definitely a game to represent. It's a little too late now. By the time Smash 6, 7 onwards comes on, we'll have new Fire Emblem games, 17, 18, 19, 20. New characters to want to represent. Right now is Three Houses time. Can we please get a character from it? I love the game, and there's a numerous amount of characters to add. And Fire Emblem only got Chrom this game, and he's a freaking Echo. Can we please get an actual new Fire Emblem character in Smash Bros. Ultimate? Number 2 is going to go to the most wanted indie character I want in Smash Bros., and that's Shantae. I love the Shantae franchise. I didn't grow up on it on the Game Boy Color onwards, but I love the character in the world, and the lore, and the games, and I own almost all of them now besides Risky's Revenge. She has so much moveset potential between her genie powers in every game but Pirate's Curse, and then her pirate stuff in Pirate's Curse. So I think you can make a very interesting moveset, Skull Town being a level, like I mentioned in my stage ideas. Music is plenty really good music, and she's just a very lovable character, and I think she is the indie character to add. Like Shovel Knight was like, everyone was on Shovel Knight like crazy, and he got turned into an assist trophy, and she became like a sticker spirit kind of thing. I think she deserves it, and I think she is the indie character with the most Nintendo affiliation that deserves it the most. And she is a character that, while I'm not super affiliated with, an iconic for and rooting for, she's one of the ones I want to see the most. And I would love to see her in Smash Bros. Finally, because she would fit in so well. And number 1, my most wanted character, and this has not changed for quite some time. He used to be lower because I used to have higher characters that eventually did get added in the Smash Bros. Like Shulk and whatnot. They were higher up before. He was a little lower down, but as they started getting added in, he started raising up because I want to see him in Smash Bros. And he's getting a new game next year. And he's an iconic character from a company with a creator that's friends with Sakurai, and many fans want in Smash Bros., myself included, and that's Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes. Can we please get him in there? The beam katana moveset with wrestling moves, his crazy anime wackiness, his personality, the fact that all of his costumes could be different gear from the games, different shirts, jackets, and pants, different beam katanas. The voice actor alone getting into Smash Bros., a stage with the music. Can we please get him in there? I think he deserves it. No More Heroes 3 is bringing the series back. We got Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes 1 and 2 on the Wii. The series is a staple on Nintendo, and Suda51 is friends with Sakurai. Can we please, for the love of Christ, get him in Smash Brothers? And that's it. That's my top 25 most wanted newcomers for the Super Smash Bros. Series. Ultimate and beyond. It's not all just for Ultimate, but some of the games, some of it is for games beyond, like future Smash Bros. Games and whatnot. But I want to see these characters. There's a lot of characters from Smash Bros. I could easily want to see in Smash Bros. And to be fair, like I know, like I said, that's just, it's a personal want list, and this is who I personally want. So put in the comment section what you guys think. What do you guys think of my top 25? And what would be your top 25? What characters, newcomers that are not in Smash Brothers yet, do you all personally want to see in Smash Brothers? Put it down there below. Discuss it down there. My name is Sniper. It's fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to have a lovely day, and I'll see you all later in the next video. And given that this is on Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, and celebrate your day with your family and friends. And see you all probably some videos before the New Year's and into the New Year 2020.